Hey guys, welcome to Nine Lives Energy. My name is Chrissy Smith, and together we energize your body from the inside out. And if you are interested in any of the supplements that I have been taking, please let me know. I will leave a link in the description for those. They are dealing with cellular health, and right now, with all the things that we have going on, going back to school and being around people that we normally aren't around, sometimes viruses attack us. So it's best that we have ourselves in optimal health. So if you are interested in going into the cold and flu season with supplementation that is going to help you navigate through those energies that are going to try to disrupt all the things that you want to do, let me know, because I have been able to see a huge difference in my hormone balance, my immune system, also just my energy level as well. And those kind of things that we need to have going into our winter season. But enough of that. If you like this information that we are talking about today with Deborah Robinson, then I would like for you to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We come on every Wednesday, but unfortunately, Mercury in retrograde came to us on that same day and was causing a lot of havoc in my life at the moment. And so we had to reconvene to Friday. So for anyone who is tuning in, we apologize for the inconvenience, but hopefully you can get this on our later scheduled broadcast. So Deborah, thank you so much for joining us today. How is Mercury in retrograde along with Venus in retrograde? What else is in retrograde? We have about 7 planets that are going to be going through this retrograde city, as I like to call it, until I believe the end of the year. I know that we are going to be experiencing our Mercury in retrograde since Wednesday of this week, and also until the September 14th. And she is going to share with us what that means as it retrogrades in the sign of Virgo. So, Deborah, how's your week been going?
I've had a good week, Chrissy. Thank you.
Good. Well, I want to thank you for your powerful prayers because Mercury in retrograde has had a fun time with me this week. As we know, Mercury is in its home sign of Virgo, and that Mercury also controls communication because it is also the sign that it is most comfortable in Gemini as well. And that controls also our technology. So I've had a few issues, and school started back for me last week. And the first day of school, I had an electrical problem and could not get out of my garage. So I had to get a coworker to come and get me out. So I made it to school on time. And then Tuesday, I had some projector problems in one room. And so I had to move to another room. And then Thursday had more problems with another room. So I had to move again. And then my AC has had some issues. Last night I came home after 8 and my thermostat said 79 degrees. So I slept downstairs. And I told Deb, I said, please make sure that you send some love and positive energy to me because Mercury retrograde is having a fun time with me. I will tell you that I left this morning and it was pretty hot. And I came home and the AC was working again upstairs. Now, I'm still going to keep my appointment for Monday because I need to get the unit serviced. But I think what's happened is it's freezing up. And so it just needs to be serviced. And so I appreciate your prayers because I was able to get ready in 76-degree heat instead of 85-degree. So if you see me pulling my hair back up in a ponytail, we're working with the best situation that we got going for us today, at least at my house. So Deborah, I'm so glad that you are wearing yellow today because it is so bright. And I wish that we were still in Leo season because we were going to make this beautiful video. And unfortunately, other priorities have taken the place. But you know what? We can always have a throwback Thursday and have our Leo energy anytime that we want to, because as with the zodiac wheel, we are all parts of the zodiac wheel. And it's how that we show up in our personalities based upon where the planets are, and the energies that are passing through certain houses could affect certain parts of our lives more than others. So, Deborah, tell us what is going to happen with Mercury in retrograde in Virgo, one of its home signs. What should we plan for the next 2 weeks?
All right, Miss Live Nine Energy. Thank you so much for hosting every other Wednesday. And today, you have to be flexible to be able to do something different when glitches happen, when Mercury retrograde shows up. So we are doing it today on Friday. And so we will just pretend like today is a Wednesday Friday. How about that?
Well, Wednesdays and Fridays are my favorite days.
Yeah, so yeah, we are here to talk about Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and you talked about the planets that are currently retrograde. We have five of them that are currently retrograde, and then before in the end of September, Uranus and Jupiter. So that will be at that time.
Hey, Deborah, hold on
And
one second. Can you repeat that? You cut out on me a little bit, and you said something about
okay,
Uranus at the end of the month.
yeah, we've got Mercury, and we've got currently Mercury. We have Uranus that's going to go retrograde, as well as Jupiter that is going to go retrograde. Uranus is going to go retrograde on 8/28, and Jupiter will go retrograde on September the 4th.
Okay.
So that will be a total of 7 planets that will be retrograde. So again, whenever we talk about planets that are going retrograde, we're talking about the reeds. It means giving us time to slow down because we have a real fast world that's going on. And so it brings us the time to tell us to slow down so that we can rethink. How about let's say reanalyze since we're in Virgo, because Virgo is all about analyzing. So reanalyzing what it is. And as you said, Mercury does rule 2 planets. It rules Gemini. And when it's focusing on Gemini, that's looking at the dialogue as well as many discoveries. So in the discussion, so it loves it there. And now it's in its home planet of Virgo, which is all about definitely analyzing. And it's also about form and definition and letting us execute divine plans. So it's also looking at how we structure things and our day to day. It has to do with our work. And as we can see, we have a lot of work strikes where people are striking about pay, especially in the Hollywood area. So it's like, people are waking up and say, hey, I'm worth more than you're paying me for. So we're going to continue to see it because we still have Mars that's in Virgo. So let's not forget that. And we don't have any planets in air. The majority of the planets right now are currently in Earth. Mm-hmm. So we've got a lot of grounding that we're being reminded of. Now, when it comes to what Mercury rules, as you said, it rules communication, and that's all forms of communication: listening, writing, reading, speaking. And then also when it comes to travel, automobiles, shipping, mail, contracts, negotiations. So you got all of that that has the possibility of having a glitch or a breakdown. But the beautiful thing about it is when it comes to Virgo, sometimes when things break down when it comes to Mercury retrograde in Virgo, for instance, like if the sink breaks, well, the sink needed to break so that you could see that there was some mold behind it. So it brings out what needs to be taken care of because Mercury, at the same time, it's the messenger of the gods. So there's messages that are coming through. And so it's a bridge that helps us with the abstract all the way to that which is tangible. And then we have that which is possible to that which is practical. Also, when it comes to Virgo, Virgo is very big on health. And at the beginning, you talked about your supplements that you are taking in regards to being healthy with the immune system. Virgo is very big on our health. So our health coming into focus, even with Mars being in there, that is putting us on alert to say, slow down, take care of your health. Be sure you're eating your meals as you should. Whenever you eat them, just make sure they're balanced. You got some greens in there. Make sure you're taking your supplements. Check with Chrissy to see what those supplements are that can help you, because the most important thing is our immune system. Now, Virgo actually rules the intestines and the kidneys definitely are our system that takes the toxins out. So make sure you're drinking some water.
Mm-hmm.
Bring you some water in, and you can do other things too. Our internet is full of information, full of communication that will let us know what we can do to take care of ourselves. Now, when it comes to Mercury being retrograde, it's going to be retrograde. Some are saying the 14th and some are saying the 15th. It just all depends what happens in the heavens. One day off is sometimes it will go through the 15th, and generally Mercury is in a sign from anywhere to 2 to 3 weeks on a normal basis. But when it comes to retrograde, it can stay in a sign up to 10 weeks. So it looks like it's going slow, and it is. And it is not going backwards. That's one thing that people have a tendency to get it confused. It is just slowing down. And then that is just mirroring to us as human beings. Slow down so that we can see all that we need to see, especially when it comes to Virgo, because Virgo thrives in being the perfectionist.
Yep.
And sometimes when we hear that word, we think, oh my God, a perfectionist. Well, sometimes it is good to be a perfectionist because you're looking at those ways that can make things excellent. Why not have it in an excellent manner? So here we are, and with Mercury, and Mercury is a trickster, so it likes to play jokes on us. And then when you were talking about your week, it was kind of funny, but not funny.
It's
all
not
that
fun to experience it, that's for sure. But I tell you, Deb, it was like I turned my situation around. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have no AC, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, you know what? At least the AC is working downstairs. So if I was going to be too uncomfortable upstairs after getting ready, I could move my little studio downstairs. But then I came home and it was fine. I mean, it's a little warm up here, but it's not as bad as it was. And it was like I kept thinking about abundance, and I said, okay, well, this means that it's not going to cost as much money to fix it. So I appreciate you sending me some good vibes and your healing energy, because you manifested some really cool things for me today with my AC unit. So I appreciate it.
No problem. I love it, sending out good vibes. And like I said, with all this earth energy, it's easy to do. That's where the grounding comes in. And then when you look at Virgo also is that feminine energy that has a lot of mothering energy with it as well. And it has a lot of efficiency and clarity with it. So in that perspective, we can look at Mercury being retrograde so that we can be clear on things. Because remember, we just came out of Leo, and we were having fun, and we were looking at our leadership qualities, and we were looking at the entertainment, we were looking at the joy, we were looking at the heart, all these things. And so it with Virgo being a mutable sign, meaning that it is preparing us for Libra that's going to take us into the fall time. So we are changing, and things are constantly changing, quickly changing. And so that gives us the ability with the Mercury retrograde to slow it down. And no wonder here we are with school starting in the Virgo season. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that we can observe, because education is really a hot topic on the table. What should be taught? What shouldn't be taught? What is history? And now her story wants to be told. And we still have to remember that Venus is retrograde in Leo too, and still is. We have about 2 more weeks of that, and then she's going to go direct. So we do have some things. I see where in Michigan they had a tornado last night. And again, these things are relative because Mars is in Virgo. So we can look that some of these things can happen. Be mindful that accidents can still happen. All types of events can happen. But again, as we slow down, as we look at our things, if you've got travel plans, make sure that you're getting on the right flight. Make sure you got the right information. Just send good vibes that your luggage won't be lost. Things like that. If we stop in just a little bit, and that goes with a part of when we are getting up in the morning, being grateful. And some of the things we cannot help because things aren't built to last forever. So when we do our part, we I do our maintenance work with them, as you said, and hopefully that is all that needs to be done with your air conditioning is to let it have some maintenance and then you can get your cool air back. So that's pretty much what's going on. And so we've got until September the 14th, 15th to rethink, reanalyze, regroup what it is that we're thinking about and what we need to be efficient in, and then our work habits, because again, that Virgo is our day-to-day activities. And so we get to look and reanalyze what they are. And also, Virgo is about being of service. So we have to think about too, where is it that we can be of service at? So put your hands and your feet and your bodies to work to get out into our communities, our neighbors is our communities. You know, and back in the day, we used to really know our next door neighbor names. Yep. And when I get new neighbors, I'm always introducing myself. So we can still present ourselves to be friendly, and Mercury make sure that we have some good communication. So that's pretty much what's going on, Miss Chrissy, as far as Mercury in Virgo.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit, I guess, about what's going on with you this week. Have you been affected from any of these planetary changes, or have it been smooth sailing, or have you seen people's energies kind of fluctuate some?
Well, because it just happened on Wednesday, it might be too early in the game to say something.
Okay.
But so far, I have had a wonderful week. And I've been looking around at different things to say, well, what can I be more efficient in? By me being a Cancer, I'm pretty efficient. I like my things in order, because when it comes to Virgo, having things in order, I mean, you talking about detail oriented. Virgos are detail oriented.
Yes.
And they can find a penny when it's lost in something. They're going to look for that penny. So far, different people that I've met with this week, they've been pretty much on the cool side. Nothing has happened so far. So that's a good thing. Haven't heard anybody say anything yet. Now, when I come back week after next, I may be able to say that some things happened. But so far, nothing has happened other than the things that you said. And again, sending out those good vibes. And that's a good thing. We don't have to go through these things alone. Reach out to somebody that can send you some positive energy, because everything is energy. I hope we remember that everything is energy, and we have the ability to change things so that they will have some good outcomes for us.
Well, when I talk about, or when you were talking about changing energy, it reminded me of my classes this week. Some have been off to a little bit of a rough start, but I'm really trying my best to transmute that energy, because our children, I think, have been the ones who have suffered the most over the last 3 years with, the lockdowns. And we're all coming into certain changes in our life or into certain experiences, having had different experiences up until that point. So, I'm seeing a lot of anger. I'm seeing a lot of bitterness. I'm seeing a lot of, and it's coming off as I don't care type attitudes. So people have kind of built up little shells that in order to protect the emotional and the mental and the spiritual side. And I get it. My second house is governed by a split between Libra and Virgo. So when I look at myself, I said, you know what, this is why I love astrology so much. I have learned so much about who I am, why I'm here, why I show up in the world the way that I do. And once you know this about yourself, then you can change it if you want to. I mean, you don't have to, but
Right.
I believe that, we can all have an opportunity to evolve. And, one of the best things that I have learned about myself is some of the, we all have positive and negative traits or better qualities than others. Let's just say that. For example, Aries, I'm an Aries sun. I have a tendency to be very impulsive. I have a tendency to my way is the right way. I'm going to do what I want. I'm independent. And kind of come out as a warrior with anger and frustration. Even though I have a lot of energy and I want to do all these things, sometimes when I do all these things and they're not perfect by Virgo standards, then I kind of get a little anxious and overwhelmed because I'm like, well, that didn't turn out the way that I want to. So therefore, I'm not good enough, or whatever I've made is not good enough, or whatever the student has turned in isn't good enough and lives up to my standards. And even though I've given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, sometimes I think that we learn from our mistakes, we learn from our failures. And maybe even though I've shown a lot of love to certain situations, I can't keep chasing those situations and try to do the work for the people that I'm trying to help. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm pretty sure that there were people that were trying to help me. And I didn't really want to look at the information that they were giving or the suggestions because I wanted to do it my way. And, it's good to listen to other people, but also not listen to other people, especially when it has something to do with how you want to show up. And this is who your authentic self is, not listening to the naysayers, but also learning how to take constructive criticism, learning how to be quiet when you need to be quiet and listen when you need to listen. And, I'm looking at some of the people around me and seeing how they are navigating through the energies as far as like creating better health habits for themselves, creating better routines for themselves. And I'm so happy because I've been wanting these people to kind of do that, but they have to have the desire to do it. But it's almost like innately their inner self or their higher beings are tapping them on the shoulder and say, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
That thing that you need to go check out at the doctor's, let's go check it out. That thing, that closet that you need to clean out, let's organize it. The full moon is going to be happening next week, which is going to shine a big light on all these things that we need to be taking a look at. So let's go ahead and kind of plan for that experience and be ready before we really have to do those things and we're forced. And then it's not as fun. We feel stressed because we feel like we don't have enough time because we've procrastinated, which is the opposite of what Virgo does. Because Virgo
Absolutely. Yeah, and that reminded me when you were talking because I got a visual of where my Virgo placement is, and it's my third house in the sign of Virgo, as well as my Jupiter is in there. And so when I look at what Virgo is, because it rules the sixth house, and I like the way that when you look at numerology, how it talks about the number six, how it has the number one going down, and then it has the cosmic egg at the bottom, which indicates pregnancy. which indicates new beginnings and new happenings.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at, you talked about the last time when we got together about what the different houses, how they have a theme, but they all have so have many themes. Like the one that's with Virgo, it's service, perfection, and the analyst. So it's going to take things apart and look at it. So again, so that we can have clarity, and that's a good thing why Mercury is going retrograde, because again, yeah, it does causes the glitches, and yes, it does cause the breakdowns too. But at the same time, it gives us the opportunity, because being a teacher is being of service. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, our children have suffered a lot because of this adult stuff that has been going on, but this adult stuff must go on because of all of the old programming, all of the old structures that we have been under. And now there is a new world that is taking place, with technology, with what our children are going to be learning, because a lot of the stuff that they have learned has been misinformation. So there's nothing worse than misinformation. We want our children to learn the truth
Yeah.
so that all of these things can be integrated. That's the big word that, it has to be shared. We're integrating our heart energy with it so that we can get along with one another. And so children that are rejecting or not as attentive as they should be, or I don't care, because we don't know what's going
Yeah.
on in their home life. We don't know what they're listening to. And when you get into teen years, because that's pretty much the
Yeah.
class, the audience that you're with. When you get into teens, boy, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. There's puberty that's happening. There's different age group that they're with, and so there's a lot of things that's influenced. You got social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and you name it. All of those things are influencing, and so it's like, oh, what do I listen to? So there's no wonder that there is confusion. So what we can do by being of service, all we can do at this point is definitely in the mornings or late at night before we go to bed, we can send good energy that way to those
Yeah.
students or even our coworkers. It doesn't matter. Or across the world, because there is so much happening everywhere and everybody is being impacted. Honey, when you go to the grocery store and you are picking up something, you will hear people talking about the price of something, and you can hear fear in their conversations. What are we going to do? And when I see the prices of stuff, I immediately begin to say thank Source for having the ability to buy it at the moment, because at
Yeah.
the moment is all that really matters. If
Yeah.
I look too far in the future, I may think that I may not survive either. But we are living more than just surviving. We are thriving as well. And that's where the abundant mindset comes in, that we are thriving well. We have roofs over our head. There's plenty of people who don't have air
Yeah.
conditioning at all,
Yeah.
period, who are suffering with these high temperatures. And so these things are being brought to the attention to those individuals that have taken so many of the resources of Mother Gaia, because that's what
Yeah.
Virgo represents as well, the earth, Mother Gaia. It's calling for responsibility for us. I was at the mall the other day, and a young lady opened her door and threw some trash out. And I wanted to say something to her, but I didn't say anything, because these days, honestly, you don't
Yeah.
know whether you can say something to someone or not. But what I did energetically was I spoke and said, let her be more mindful of just dumping trash out into the parking lot. So we can be mindful too, because I've always wanted to do a survey, and I'll end it with this. I've always wanted to do a survey to see what people think in regards to, do you think it's more females that throw trash out the window? Or do you think it's more males who throw trash out the window?
I
You
don't
know?
know.
And when I saw the female throw the trash out the window, because I'm used to seeing the males throw the trash out, and their comment is always, well, somebody's got to have a job. So I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, that's
So
some
let's make
screwed
their
up
job
thinking.
worse. Let's make their job worse.
Exactly. So yes, this is like, wow. So take care of Mother Earth, and she is saying, you gonna take care of me. You're going to take care of me. And my prayers are for the people in Hawaii as
Yes.
the natives do their standing their ground for the developers that are trying to come in to take their land. So we're sending good energy that way. So I got plenty to do by sending good energy. So I'm going to keep sending those good vibes out there for the world because it's working.
When you were talking about numerology a minute ago, I was giving a lecture to a class, and I was talking about vision boards and the assignment and what they had to do for the assignment. And I looked at the clock and it said 3:33. And I was like, ooh, look at the clock, 3:33. I said, that's an angel number. And they said, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, well, of course, my astrology mind. I'm like, well, 3 is governed by the house of Gemini, and Gemini is all about communication and mindset.
That's
And
how we do it.
then guess what? I went home or into my office and I got my book. I love this book. It's the Angel book. And I looked up 333. And do you know what it said? Now
What?
is a good time to make a vision board. And that is exactly what I was talking about. And I was
Wow.
talking about communication as well. And I had just finished drawing this picture of a triangle that said, first of all, we have to have awareness. Then we have to have acceptance. Yes, I'm aware that I do this thing. I accept the fact that that is my behavior. Now, at this point, I can take 2 options: continue the behavior or try to work on action, which is changing the behavior. So you said Mars was in Virgo, right? Mars
Yes.
is our planet of action. It is governed by Aries in the first house. So Mars is telling you at this, or the collective at this time, hey, it is time, knocking on the door. I'm the planet of action. I'm telling you it is time to work on your vision board. You establish a routine. And with it being an earth sign, I always like to think of earth as being my foundation.
Yeah.
And what does your foundation look like? Because if you don't water your garden, you're not going to have any plants. If they don't get any sunshine, Leo, they're not going to grow either. So, it's like, how are you treating Mother Earth? And I heard this is why, occasionally my younger self, and we're talking 16 years old, because it was not after 20, I'll tell you that. Somebody made a statement one time that I heard, and they said, when you litter, you are basically throwing out trash in God's backyard. And I was like, that's a good point. And I never littered again. In fact, I end up picking up people's trash. This is why I like walking in the woods. It loves me because it knows I'm going to go out there and pick up trash or pick up glass. I hate seeing glass out in the woods. And somebody told me one time that mean people break bottles. Now, you can break a bottle on accident. We know what that looks like, but we also know what a beer bottle looks like. And how many times do we think that people just break a beer bottle on accident? And why are you drinking beer out there in the woods anyway with a bottle? At least carry a can, if you're going to do something like that. But I wouldn't want no beer after walking in the woods. I want some water.
They said the bill of I want some beer in the woods.
whatever motivates
Exactly.
people.
But at least take your bottle with you.
Yeah, I know. An animal could step on that and hurt its foot. And what if what if it's like an animal out in the woods that doesn't get the type of treatment that a dog would, that's a domesticated animal? What happens to that deer? What happens to that bear, that hurt itself? I mean, you have to think about, what are you doing with that straw that you threw out into the ocean? Is it going to go up into a turtle's nose? Or this rubber band, is it going to go around a turtle's shell and then cause it to be deformed? People just don't think sometimes of their the repercussions of their decisions. And I think that that's with everything, because that probably the way that they treat others or treat Mother Earth could be, maybe a response to how they treat themselves too. So just sending people love like what you did was the perfect thing. You're such an awesome human being. You have so much love in your heart. I don't know that I would have done that. I probably would have picked the lady's trash up and not sent her opportunities to learn from, those decisions and how they could affect just the environment that she lives in, her community.
And that I'm going to start keeping a little bag in my car too. So, because I can pick it up in some type of little glove or something, because, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I was listening to Deborah Silverman this week, because all week long she's had a series, and it's called Immersion. And the immersion is talking about astrology, and each day there was a different speaker. And on Tuesday, Sonia Croquette, and I hope I said her name correctly, but anyway, she is very wise when it comes to our intuition, using our intuition. And so she made a statement, because they were looking at this young lady's chart. And so the question to the young lady was, when was your first time that you knew about your intuition? And the girl said that she was on her way back to college, and it was dark this particular night. And she said she heard this voice that said, slow down. And the next thing she got was a mental picture of a deer. And so she said, as she rounded the curve, there was a deer there, and she actually had slowed down. Had she not listened to her intuition, which she did not realize was her intuition speaking to her at that particular time, she would have collided with the deer. And so Sonia Croquette said this statement, and I was like, that is the most profound statement, but this continues to allow the grace for individuals. And what she said was that at that particular time, this young lady had zero context for understanding even what her intuition was at that particular time. Because a lot of times we're wowed by, oh my gosh, what was that? Wow. And so that is a part of our being. But again, we have not been shared with a lot about intuition, because we've been dependent upon what somebody else tells us, or somebody else telling us what to do. So I found that very gracing, that I could say, when people say things that I would be like, that was stupid, or what in the world did they say that for? When you don't have a context of zero context of understanding a thing, then that helps us to become more patient with, because if I would have had that perception at that time to say, this young lady has zero context of understanding that she is littering our earth.
Mm-hmm.
So the more grace we can give people, because they don't even have the context for understanding.
Yeah. And it's like, how can you sit there and be upset with someone when they don't even see themselves what they are doing? And, you mentioned the word grace, and because I have had grace, it is easier for me to have grace for other people. I'm still learning. I'm doing way better than I was 2 weeks ago. I'm doing better, definitely better than I was last year. So, we just have to focus on, being in the present moment. And if we get too caught up
Yes.
in the past, I wrote on a list today of things that I want to manifest with this full moon that's coming up next week.
Blue one at that.
Yes. And so I'm like, okay, what mindset do I have right now? Because I'm actually working on you were talking about the Deborah Silverman uh, podcast or the training that's for what, 30 days? Is that it?
Yes.
So another person that I know is also doing that, and she said that she's learning astrology that way, and I'm like, yay! I said, my friend Deborah went and learned from Deborah Silverman as well. But I'm doing a healing that I got on Beyond Mystic, and folks, I'm going to leave the link to the podcast that Deborah is referring to in the link below after this is over, and I'm also going to leave a link below in the description for the YouTube video for the one that I'm doing for Beyond Mystic. This was only $99. And even though it wasn't free, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay for this because I feel like this is something that I need to do and clear my energy. So the first one is focusing on the root chakra, and you have, and it's called theta healing. So there's light language that's in there. It can maybe sound like the facilitator is making like an animal sound, or maybe some type of ancient language that you've never heard before, or just weird sounds, like clicking, and it's a little weird, so it may not be for everybody, but I liked it. And there were symbols that you could use, that you could put in under your bed to help reinforce. And you're supposed to spend a week at each one. And so after the root one, I felt like, you know what, I can do this next one pretty soon. And it's crazy because I'm not going to try to give away, what happened in the second one for sacral healing, but I will say that there was this wasp that was charging at my door that day, like trying to come and get me. And he did it about 5 times. And I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. So I closed the door. And I kid you not, when we were doing that sacral healing meditation workshop, she had a wasp fly in. Now, this recording had transpired, who knows when she made it, but you get 7 healings, and they are an hour and a half each. And if anybody that is listening has ever done any type of energy work, a lot of energy work is probably anywhere between $70 to $150 to even $250 to $300, depending on who it is, how famous they are, what you're getting, yada, yada. This, you get 7 sessions that are an hour and a half each, and they are for $99. And so I'm like, this is awesome. So I finished doing the soul one for the solar plexus. So now with the full moon, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to be ready to do the heart one, because I feel like there is some blockages that are there, possibly, that are not allowing me to either to love or to receive like I want to, because maybe there's some blockages there that I don't know of right now. So folks, doing any type of this healing stuff, whether it's the Deborah Silverman thing, or if there's a podcaster that you like on YouTube, take the time to look at things differently in order to heal yourself. It really does make a difference in how you look at yourself, how you have relationships with other people, the grace that you give other people, the forgiveness that you give yourself from past decisions. It does help. I can't wait to do the Deborah Silver one, because you're the second person that's told me about it. So it must be amazing. And I know that that's who helped train you and who you learned from. Yeah. So I will make sure to leave that link below for both of those, if it resonates with you or if it doesn't. There's so much free information out there, folks. And you don't have to pay an exorbitant amount or have to pay for anything. If you truly have a desire to want to change, to want to get better, the universe, God, source, whatever you want to refer it to as, will bring that abundance to you. But you got to be open to receive it. It's there waiting.
Yeah.
It's there waiting.
Make it from possible to that practical.
Yes. So
Yes,
the word impossible, if you put a line between the M and the P, it says I'm possible.
I liked it. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add before we leave today?
I think I've said everything that I need to say. And again, I am grateful for Mercury retrograde, the reminder to slow it down.
Yeah.
And the inner work is where it all begins. So all these things we're talking about is slowing down so that we can do the inner work, meditating, walking, exercising, taking care of the body so that the soul can be at its highest expression.
Yeah. And get about what it's supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Because we all have so many gifts, that, and some of us don't even know the gifts that we have because we are so busy looking at all these distractions that keep us from knowing that wonderful gift that we all have, which is our intuition, which can help us uh, do what we're supposed to do. And once you learn how magical of a being you are, the world is magical too.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, my friend. I hope that the rest of Mercury in retrograde is going to go well. Um, we may or may not do another forecast next week for the full moon. I'll talk to Deb and see what her schedule looks like and what mine looks like. I'm kind of feeling that right now, but I don't want to plan too much right now after some issues that I've had with my tech. So let me sit on that for just a little bit. And because I've just got so many things on my plate, as we all do.
Yes.
And sometimes what we want may not be a priority that we need to focus on. So thanks so much, guys. Again, my name is Chrissy Smith, and this is Nine Lives Energy. And together we energize your body from the inside out.